All right. Good morning. Good morning. So I want to welcome everybody to our mastermind for week 26 and just kind of remind everybody it's already the end of the year. We're in November, December, and obviously it's holiday season. But just as a reminder, I'll bring it up again at the end. But we have our orientation at 10 in the morning and part 2 of our training event for limitless listings. Basically, what I'm doing on Thursday, or correction, on Fridays, is every Friday I'm going over. I'll just bring it up here. I'm going over different things that I think are valuable for all of our agents. And if you're part of the mastermind, of course, you're welcome to come and listen to some of this as well. The orientation starts at 10 and the training starts at 11. For anyone that's part of LPT, obviously, we're trying to build our company up. And so you're more than welcome to bring other people that you want to introduce LPT to and let them see some of the free events that we do, some of the training we do, that type of stuff. But what we're going to get into at 10 in the morning, obviously, is motivational. We talk a little bit about motivational Mondays, stuff like that, what J Prime offers, compensation masterminds, that type of stuff. But then to me, it's really more about conversion mastery. We talk about the initial conversation, the initial contact that you have with people. And that has to vary based on where the lead comes from. And I think a lot of people are looking for the one size fits all, but it's just like any career you've ever been in. I mean, if you were a nurse, you may start the conversation, with a questionnaire so that you can kind of figure out what that person needs before you start trying to address it. So as a real estate agent, we have to think the same way. If someone comes in with a chart and they fill it out and they say they're having arm pain, and the first thing you ask them is, how's that jaw doing? They're going to look at you like you're crazy. So, but people in real estate, it's so interesting. I watch people, they'll start with the exact same question for every single person because they're so ready to jump into the script. And that just has absolutely no feeling. So you got to think first, what is your initial contact? Your intro before you start your elevator speech, because everybody wants to jump right into their elevator speech. My elevator speech is pretty simple, but I don't want to just jump right into it. So before I get into the conversation of, hey, we don't tell you no, we tell you how. So if there's anything that's going to prevent you from getting approved for a loan, like down payment, closing cost, student loan debt, or anything of that nature that might keep you from getting pre-approved, we have solutions. Okay, so that's a conversation I definitely want to have. If I'm working with a buyer, I want them to know I can solve a lot of their problems. Even if you're going through a divorce, if there's probate issues, whatever that situation may be, we have solutions. So my elevator speech is geared toward making sure that they hear how I'm overcoming objections. So if you really want to have a good elevator speech, make sure you write one that overcomes objections before they're asked. And the easy way to do that is to talk about the typical problems you hear in that arena, and then basically address those during your elevator speech. Just like I said, hey, if you have problems with student loans, down payment assistance, credit, or anything of that nature that might keep you from getting pre-approved, we have solutions. And they're like, hey, I actually have a problem with student loans. But before I get into that, I have to make sure they know how I got a hold of them or how we reach each other. Now, if they walk into an open house, that's pretty obvious. What brought you in? The signs. Great. You're working with a realtor. Great. All those qualifying questions. But your intro has to be qualifying questions before you start your elevator speech. And if you're answering people on text messages or platforms where they're automated, then that has to be based on how you met them. Hey, I saw that you showed interest in one of our Facebook ads on this new Facebook ad, or this new home buyer program that we're advertising. Oh yeah, that's how I met you. Great. One of the things I talked about last week with the team was, if you are going to do anything related to text or email, make sure that you put a thumbnail, especially if they saw you on a Facebook page or whatever page they saw you on. And even if they didn't, start including a thumbnail from your Facebook page on your text. Why? Because you want to start building your brand alongside your messaging. Now, once that's done, then your elevator speech makes more sense. And then we get into the informal presentation, which, again, you might have to overcome some objections because in the elevator speech, you brought up a few things that they go, well, I do have credit issues. What do I do? And then you just let them know, I got a program for that, got a program for that, got a program for that. And if you have the contacts that you need, you should have a contact that you can turn them over to for credit. Again, you want to pre-qualify folks, not pre-approve. You're just simply asking, like, how much money do you make per year? Or correction, what's your gross monthly salary? What are some of the gross monthly debts that you have, like, or what are debts you pay, like credit cards, loans, and your car payment? And then you figure out how to come up with a number that obviously means they're going to pre-qualify. You can't pre-approve them unless you have the software as a lender. But as a real estate agent, it's pretty easy to know that in San Antonio, if a $1,500 payment is what they need to make at a minimum, they got to make at least double that. I would probably say around $3,500. If they're not making at least $3,500, they're probably not going to qualify for a $1,500 a month payment. Why? Because you take 3,000 divided by 2, that's 1,500. That's basically a 50% debt to income ratio. Well, if they have any other bills, like car notes, credit cards, an additional $500, you subtract that from 3,000, they're down to 2,500. The most they could pay is $1,250. Now, that's basically how you pre-qualify people. The other thing you might ask is like, well, what do you think your credit score is? And if they say, oh, it's like 580, it's like, oh, great. You might ask, are you a veteran? Do you have money down? Because with a 580 credit score, once you ask these questions and you understand why you're asking these questions, the 580 might mean if they have 3.5% down, they can qualify for our FHA. If they don't, then you're like, I got to put them on a program to get their scores up or find out if they're a veteran, because veterans don't necessarily need money down. These are little things you should be able to do long before you start trying to send them to a lender. And to me, that is your buyer agency agreement. If you're working with buyers, that's the best way to win them over. Show them that, hey, I'm going to show you how I set people up for success. First, I'm going to ask you some qualifying questions to pre-qualify you and see, what program best works for you, because we have several programs. For many different reasons, we want to use those. And that's what we want to get into. And then from there, the informal presentation to me is just setting the appointment. The formal presentation is when you meet with them, and then you basically pull out your hard copies of everything and you walk them through your actual hard copy presentation. Now, that was last week. This week, we're going to go over new home source and Facebook post. A lot of people, if you're on my team, you're definitely going to be a new build specialist. It's just what it's got to be. And people are asking over and over again. I'm like, I'm sorry, but I've seen people make so much money doing new builds that they make up for every single, I would say, poor transaction they had earlier. If you did a $100,000 home where you got 2.5%, that $2,500 minus all your fees, I mean, that's just not a lot of money. Then you go do a new build for $280,000 at a 6% or 7% commission, and all of a sudden you got a $15,000 check. Okay, it's a lot less work. The sales counselors act as your transaction coordinator, and you can spend way more time meeting more clients. So if you don't understand how new builds work, week 2 is what we're going to go over tomorrow during the orientation. I'm going to show you how to build your new home source page and post all those on Facebook, so that all you're doing is basically posting Facebook. Make your Facebook page look like your MLS. That's bottom line. If you can make your Facebook page look like your MLS, name it something. I'm going to show you how to create Facebook pages and name them the right thing, so that basically people that go to your page are like, oh, this is like my own source of inventory. Yes, exactly. And the way New Home Source is set up, it allows you to do that. So they click a link and it takes them back to your page with your contact information. Then the following week, we'll go over new build training, specifically how to talk to new build sales counselors and all that stuff. And then I'm going to show you guys in week 4, RPR. They got video scripts on market updates, and it's unbelievable what you can do. The Chat GPT is already built in. It does your script writing for you. It tells you exactly what to say, and all you got to do is upload it to your teleprompter app, and boom, you're done. But that's what we're going to talk about tomorrow. So make sure that if you're on the team, if you want to come in early, be there at 10 o'clock. We're going to get started. I'm going to wrap that up at about 10:45, give everybody a break. And then at 11, we're going to jump right into the training on part 2 of what we're going to be doing for the listings leads. And it's going to stay in theme. We're going to stay with new homes. So once you market these new homes, how does that help you with listings? Well, you got to be able to write ads. And basically, if you use listings to leads, which is what we're going to do, you learn how to take all those homes that you may have posted in your Facebook page, load them up, take a couple of those, load them up to Facebook, or corrections, listings to leads, load them up to that account, and then market them the way you would your own listings. And when people start reaching out, if they're in the right price point, I'd say 350,000 or more, when they're in that price point or higher, you're automatically going to have people that have homes to sell, because your first time home buyers are usually at under 300,000, 250,000 or so. And in San Antonio, you can still get homes in the 100,000, 150 to $200,000 range. So if you're marketing $300,000, $400,000 homes, yes, you're going to get less leads, but typically they're going to have a home to sell. And if you're focusing on listings, that's what you want. Now, if you're focusing on buyers, yeah, your price point is going to have to drop to about 250 and lower, because you'll get way more leads that way. But that's the game we play. If you're hitting those numbers you want to hit with your listings because you have built up your listing inventory, and we're going to talk about that strategy of, downloading or getting 2,500 names a month through your title company. And if you use Remine and those other companies where you get those leads, you're going to be building up to 30,000, 36,000 people by the end of a year of sellers that have at least 5 years of equity in their home. Now, a certain percentage of those is going to want to sell. And if you're the one that's been in their face over and over, it may take you a year to get to the point where your listings take over your business. So in the meantime, we want to fill up your pipeline with a certain level of new builds. So you might start with a low price point, and as you start picking up more and more listings, you go higher and higher at your price point with your new builds. And then you're going to pick up people who are either wanting to purchase higher price point homes, but they're more than likely also have a house to sell. And then you can actually start looking at bringing on another agent if you want, and say, hey, I'm going to work all listings, and every time I market a new build and they just want to purchase a new build, I'm going to take 50% of that deal and give it to one of my agents, because you did all the work. So if you use listings to leads the way it's designed, that's the way it's designed. Now, I could do the same thing. I could pass on all the leads to my team members and charge 50%. It's just a matter of, will people do that? Because I teach you guys exactly what I do, which a lot of team leaders won't do that. They'll give you the leads, but they're not going to teach you how to do it. I'm giving you the entire platform, showing you exactly how to use it, how to build up your entire inventory. So if 2 to 3 years you decide to build your own brokerage and you're like, man, that system you taught me, listening to leads, I can run my own brokerage, run my own team. You sure can. That's the whole goal when you're working with me. I'm not worried about people walking away or leaving like a lot of people. I want people to just remember, like, hey, if I pass this on, it's kind of like, I guess it's like the disciple, right? You pass things on to your disciples and hope that they'll share it with other people and do the same thing. So that's kind of the goal there. And now I'm going to jump right into a couple of weeks that we missed. Not necessarily missed, but I want to show people what the content looks like on the digital roadmap. So everybody who's part of the mastermind, one of the things that we have to keep in mind is typically there is no agenda. I've seen coaching programs and the agenda lasts 6 weeks. I've seen 90-day boot camps, but typically it's a coaching program where they're walking you through everything for the 90 days. You have to, be part of that program for the entire time. What we haven't seen is something that gives you 52 weeks of assignments. And so that was the whole point of developing this 52-week roadmap. And anyone who joined in the very beginning, I was going to try to grow this a little bit faster, but as I told the folks that started with the beta, this is a work in progress. And as I kept growing, every time I tried to introduce new people to it, it would introduce me to a new problem. I can't handle 100 people on the call at one time. It's impossible. So as you guys heard me say last time, if you're grandfathered in, the people that are part of my team and part of the original mastermind, yes, they will always be part of the platform where you get to come straight to the stage and we'll discuss. So I'm kind of directly addressing you guys. And then the people that I invite down the road, it'll be a little bit cheaper price, but they're only going to have access to YouTube live stream. And they just have to watch as I discuss things back and forth with you guys and bring you guys to the stage. So the benefit they get is to watch and see what we're doing, and they get to follow the roadmap, but they don't get to have a chance to present their information because it's just no way. If I had 100 people on the call, we'd never get to everybody. So that's the easiest way I could see to make this work. But that's what I'm going to convert to in 2025. So if you start seeing a lot of people, well, you may not see them, but they will hopefully grow our YouTube channel and we'll have a whole bunch of people. Again, the reason I do this for my team members and other people, so you guys can see, like, if you want to grow to this level, you kind of emulate what I'm doing, but you're reaching out to consumers versus realtors. The techniques I show you, If you want to set up your own live stream and all that stuff and do home buyer seminars, we're going to talk about that in the next couple of weeks. That's part 4 of the listings to leads training I'm going to do between now and the end of the year. Part of it's going to be how to set up seminars and webinars. So be ready for that. I will send out a link to everybody for the Eventbrite for tomorrow if you haven't already signed up. But I just want you guys to see, like, for week 25, if you don't know what a unique value proposition is, basically everything I'm trying to present going forward is just a script. So when I originally started this, I wanted it to be all about video, but I noticed that so many people wanted to learn the basics up front. They want to do this, they want to do that. So now I have to kind of rearrange the program a little bit. I'm going to take some time to do that when I take a break for the holidays and rearrange it in the order I think is best for everyone. But I appreciate all the people who started with the beta, because without you, I wouldn't even know what order to put these in. But the main goal was to have scripts and everything so that people could just come every week and go, all right, I need a script. I don't know what to say. All right, we'll start with mine. And if you start with mine, take it to ChatGPT. You can convert it whatever way you want. But these are the scripts that I've seen work everywhere. And some of these are the ones that have been ads that I had turned into scripts that were getting me the best leads on Facebook by far. Picking them up for less than $2. I was getting $1.80 a lead, $1.08 a lead. I mean, I was picking these up and these were converting. We would get people to reply at a rate of 67%, but we were converting 3 to 7% of the people that we picked up from Facebook only. So we were doing an average of a deal a month for 18 months in a row. And then that agent moved on to commercial real estate. But I worked every deal with that agent. They didn't want to go out on their own, so we did everything together. And 18 deals in 18 months, averaged 10 grand. We did about $180,000 because they were all new builds. The only time we did pre-owned is if they just absolutely said, I don't want a new build. They had to convince us they didn't want to do new builds. So if you start with that focal point, you'll probably average about 10,000 if you focus on new builds and only go to pre-owned if and only if your clients absolutely convince you that's the only way it would work for them. Now, of course, there's going to be times where that's true and you don't want to twist arms. You're doing it politely, of course. But if you see this first script, I'll go over it really quick. It says, hey, I'm JJ with LPT Realty, your real estate agent here, or I sometimes say real estate professional here in San Antonio, Texas, and surrounding areas. If you're interested in receiving the most up-to-date, reduced price market, pre-market inventory with lower interest rates, 0 down, and low to no closing costs, and this is how you can get your home for the best price possible and the lowest out-of-pocket cost. So as you can see, ChatGPT does sometimes convolute the information. You're going to have to go in and redo it so that it makes sense to you. So as low as 500 total move-in if you meet all requirements. So if you need access to the most up-to-date, price-reduced pre-market inventory, and a lot of this is going to be repeat. If you're doing this as a video, the way it reads and the way it sounds the way it looks when someone's watching you is totally different. A lot of times you want to repeat the information because they might not catch it the first time. And then there should be some type of call to action in there where at the end, like it says, if you're interested in going over all the different buyer options here in San Antonio and surrounding areas, click the link below and let's book a time to discuss, or send me a message so we can go over all the different options. And you just do this every week. Just every week come up with a script, or like I said, use mine. The next option is about new construction. But literally between those two scripts, if you're trying to think of what's your unique value proposition, and when we talk about value propositions, it really is, what is your niche? What is it you specialize in? If you're in the military, if you're into the military personnel, as you see each week, we'll go to a different one. So this is FHA, down payment assistance. I have a VA one. I have to find it. If you're not familiar with NACA, there's a NACA script. But each week, you just go into one of these and decide. Now, do you have to do one every single week? I mean, I would highly recommend, if you want your YouTube channel to grow, that you do that and then learn how to distribute through TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and all those other sources. But yes, these scripts will take you probably 30 to 45 seconds to read. And if you're outside somewhere, you don't have to go get them edited. You can just walk around. Maybe you got a nice office space or something. I'd highly recommend that you're outside walking and talking, because the movement is what keeps people's attention. And if you got beautiful homes or landscape behind you or something like that, that's going to get their attention even more. So that's just kind of catch everybody up. Week 25, 26, 27, 28. That's what we're going to go through. Now, I will show you what I'm going to end up having to put in here in between time for everyone who's trying to figure out, like, this was a $1,000 program when I introduced it originally, but you guys are going to get it over time. But basically, it's a 13-week schedule for you to go out. Week 1, you record 4 videos in one day. Week 2, 4 videos in one day. Now, what are they going to be over? You might go to Perry Homes, but what you're going to have to do is print this out and maybe scratch out Weston Oaks and put something that you'd rather do and find out what homes they have over in that area. So it's like, if you want to follow the schedule, great. Perry Homes is still there. David Weekly, I don't even know if they're still there. This is about 2 years old. So you have to go in, double check, make sure these places still exist. Davis Ranch is still there for sure. Trails of West Point, like some of these places have already closed out. So you have to go in and fix that information. But not only do I tell you what you're going to talk about that week, I also have the scripts. So after the 13 weeks, I'm going to put these in separate weeks, though. It's going to be the last 13 weeks of the year. I'm going to put these 13 scripts in there, and I'm going to put each one of the scripts that actually goes with it. So as you see here, standard leads, seller leads. If you're curious, like what to say, here's a quick script. Again, you can put this in Chat GPT and get a better version of all of these. But that's the whole point. Like, you just take advantage of technology. Don't look at my information and go, oh, that doesn't work for me. That just, it doesn't read right. Well, yeah, I know. It's just a topic. Take it, put it in Chat GPT and say, write a script that will get people's attention on YouTube or something like that. And Chat GPT will do the work for you. So these are all the scripts, though. Everything I talked about. Of course, if you know how to do home tours, you're going to do that. And then the informational video. Then a home tour informational video, home tour informational video. And then the other ones are as described, you know, do your market updates and all that other stuff. But that's basically how this works. As you can see here, these are all the topics you might cover in your informational videos. What does 300K buy you in San Antonio? Well, if you need to go find those neighborhoods that have 300,000. These are the most popular topics, by the way. If you put these topics in a thumbnail in your YouTube channel, these are the ones that get most attention. People are going to say, I don't know what 300,000 buys in San Antonio. I'd like to know. Well, it's vastly different from what they can buy in California for 300,000 and what they can buy in Colorado or even Arizona. So if they're moving here and they're like, wait a minute, 300,000 can buy me that, maybe I should move there. But these are the kind of ideas that you want to have in your head as you're going through this program. So hopefully you guys will see like the value of this by the end of this year. And we're only in the middle of the time we started. We're at week 26. So we're only halfway through the program. But by the time we finish, all this will be knocked out probably before then. But I want everyone to see like there's going to be a point in time where you really don't need me to follow the assignments. You just go through and just pick the ones that make the most sense to you. You got 52 weeks worth of assignments. What I'm going to spend most of my time on is basically what we've done already, which is literally have the conversation. So conversation for us, always we'll go back to this right here. Because in my mind, no matter who you are, what you do in this industry, if you're not tracking your KPIs, you're just not going to be successful. And there's a lot of people who say that, you know, I don't see the big deal. I'm like, well, think about it. If you just look at it from leads, appointment, signatures, these are all the ones in caps, and transactions closed. Well, if you work in reverse, that's the easiest way to make this make sense. How many transactions did you close? Well, that's a direct result of how many signatures you got on contracts. And how many signatures you get on contracts is a direct result of how many appointments you set. And then appointments you set are direct result of how many leads you generated. So if you understand how to generate leads and you use these lead generation sources, don't get scared of them. A lot of people get nervous and like, I'm generating only 5 or 6 leads. I would challenge you guys for the rest of the year to stop worrying about whether you got 5 or 10 leads and see if you can get 100 in a month. And not care if you don't close 20 or 30 or 40 or 90. Who cares? Instead of thinking, oh, I got 100 and I let 90 hang, who cares? See if you can generate 100 leads a month and then watch what happens. You can generate 100 leads a month, you're going to blow your own mind. And you're going to realize that this business isn't that hard because it's just a matter of numbers if you have the numbers. People think, well, I talked to 3 people and none of them want to sell. But that's literally the case. Because if I were to ask everyone on the call, we got 11 people on the call right now. If I were to ask 11 people on the call, right, literally 11, let's say 10 just to make the math easy. If I was to ask 10 people out of the call, how many want to sell their house right now? Not a single person on the call wants to sell their house. I can't make them. It just so happens that none of the 10 people on this call want to sell their house. If I said, do you want to buy a house? They're like, well, I want to, but I'm not ready to. It's like, okay, well, there you go. There could be people who want to buy a house out of the 10 people on this call right now, but they may not be ready to. So if 10 people on the call aren't ready and you get 10 leads and you're like, I don't understand, these are bad leads. That's not a bad lead. If you got the right phone number and email, it's a great lead. You just need to nurture them. And that's the whole point of conversion. So when you think about leads to appointments, if they're not ready to go on to an appointment, then that means you put them in your CRM and nurture them. And as long as you're nurturing them, you're good to go. Now, one of the systems I created a while back was, it basically says capture, then, cultivate. So capture lead, cultivate, meaning nurture, and then close. Because the whole concept is to cultivate the lead, whether they're ready today or a year from now. You got to cultivate that lead. You can't treat one like the bastard kid simply because they're not ready today. And that's where a lot of agents make the mistake. They're like, they get rid of these leads way too soon and they don't realize what just happened. So that's what I want everybody to focus on. And then we're going to jump directly into this. And if we have time, I'll walk through a little bit of the landing pages that we went over last week. But I wanted to make sure everybody understands like this, what the 52-week mastermind is for, where it's going, kind of the setup for the rest of the year, how I'm going to take advantage of the space that we were able to acquire over at my insurance group. I want everybody to have access to that every Friday. I'll be there from basically 10 to 10:45 doing orientation and 11 to 1 going over training and introducing LPT Realty. But the training is going to be primarily what people are going to see because people who see my training know I don't really focus as much on the recruiting, but I am going to be recruiting. So just so you know, if you're there, you're going to have to hear about LPT over and over again. But it's really the training that people are getting from what I'm hearing is super valuable, and they're wanting to come back. So the crowds are going to be smaller because I'm doing these week after week instead of once a month. So it's smaller groups, and in some cases that's even better. So I don't mind that at all. All right, so it looks like, goodness, we got a lot of people. I guess we got to rush through this. I didn't realize there's so many people who signed, who had done a lot of work this past week and had quite a bit of success. I see about 6 people, but 1, 2, 3 are on the call on the stage. So no biggie. I guess we'll just go with the ones here. All right, so it looks like Sherry, we'll go first with you. Let me bring you up. And looks like you picked up a couple of leads and had an appointment and got somebody under contract. Well, that's a good week for sure. All right, walk us through it. You're on mute.
Unmute. Okay. Good morning, guys. So I'm focusing here. I'm looking at Lakeisha's number, and I hope that's a typo. If not, I need to know what she's doing because mine says 2501 leads. That would be great.
Well, there's a way. If it's not a typo, I know where she got it from. So she'll come up here in a minute. But.
Okay. No, mine. I got 1 lead from listings to leads, and my last 2 that I ran, ads that I ran on listings to lead, only got me a couple of leads. So I'm thinking, I don't know if it was the way it was worded. I don't know what the deal was with it, but I'm continuing to keep doing that. I have one client. They're going to buy. They've decided to rent, but we found them a house. And after we went, I don't know how many different places, but we finally found them a house. They've agreed to everything. So they'll be moving in here in the next couple of weeks. They're excited. And that's one I'm going to have to stay on top of because eventually they're going to buy here. Absolutely. But that was, and then I've got one other buyer got under contract this week. So hopefully we get that one closed before Christmas. And that was a sphere of influence.
Well, there you go. Yeah. So, and once again, I mean, the whole concept with listening to leads is just go through the process, right? Don't think about the results the whole time because when I ask people a lot, I try to make the point with Zillow. Like I ask people all the time, like, how many homes does Zillow list? And people are like, I'm not sure. The answer is all of them.
Yeah.
And so not every home on Zillow gets the same attention as all the other homes.
Right.
When I was doing rental leads, I can honestly tell you, I would put up 20 to 50 homes and sometimes one would generate 115 leads and the other ones didn't generate a single thing. So you
Yeah.
never know which one it is. And I started figuring out which ones they were. A lot of times it's the cute little homes with the front and backyard, or you can see the front yard with a lot of grass. It has some type of character. It's usually a white home or has blue in it, or it's white with some other color. And the pictures are taken where it's an equal amount of sky and grass. So if you can show a lot of really nice landscaped homes with yards and trees, those, for some reason, in their single story, they picked up better leads. So I started posting more of those, and all of a sudden I picked up more leads. But again, the more you do this, the more you'll start recognizing how to generate so many leads.
Right.
And that's the key. Like when I started at the beginning of the year, I think I did a challenge with everybody. I generated about 75 leads in a week. 25 of those were like rentals, 46, well, yeah, somewhere just over 25. And 46 of those were straight from listings to leads. And that was in 7 days. But I just posted like 3 different homes, and I kind of knew what to look for. And as I picked those homes, I was like, all right, let's see if they do what I expect, and picked up 46 leads in a week. So
yeah, I had this last one that I did was a new build Highland Homes out at Mayfair, and it just didn't do much. And I was kind of shocked at that because Mayfair's hot right now. So, but the one that I had like you said, I think the one I had the best luck on was a friend of mine who's a real estate agent, and it was how she had listed that is absolutely darling. And but we still haven't found a buyer for it. And I'm like, I got more leads off of posting that house because it had a lot of neat upgrades. It showed really well. Mm-hmm. It just is a darling house. So I think I think the price point was good as well.
That's the key. So yes, you find a cute home at the right price point. If you want more leads, it's going to have to be in the 250 or lower range. If you go higher, of course, you're going to get less leads. The more expensive the house looks, the less likely you'll get a lot of people looking, but they won't necessarily put their information because they'll feel like they're just dreaming. So, but again, those are the tricks. Like when you have a lot of listings coming in, then you can put higher priced homes for sale.
And I will say, I'm going to do, and I've been doing a lot of the listings to lead classes that they do. And the one that I'm in the process of getting rolling is in my neighborhood, where they tell you if something hits the market, even if it's not yours, that you can, send out, cards or email, whatever. Yes, and go, this house just hit the market, and then when it goes under contract, now it's pending, and they see you're staying on top of what's going on in your neighborhood or the neighborhood you pick. It doesn't have to necessarily. I'm right here in the heart of Green in New Braunfels, so that's kind of my niche right there. So
perfect.
I want those people to know that I'm staying on top of stuff.
Yep. And you hit the nail on the head. That's exactly what you want. So no, you're doing everything right. It's just a matter of do more of it. So so I think a lot of times we've like, well, if we don't get the immediate result, we're like, oh, maybe it's not working. No, turn it up, turn up the heat. I think you'll see even better. And you got to remember, it's the slow part of the year. So now's a great time to practice getting your routine down. And then when the year starts off again, probably February timeframe, March, you're going to see everything take off. Maybe not spend as much on your budget. If you just stay around the $5 range, if you start noticing in January, February timeframe it's picking up, it's like, hey, I'll do more homes because I would test a couple, like you said, look for those cute homes in the right price range for the next couple of months, and then go, I found it. It's this in this area, it's this price point and this type of home that people are looking for. So use this time frame to test.
Okay, thank you.
All right, but good job, fantastic.
Thank you.
All right, so it looks like we got Lynn. We'll bring Lynn up real quick and walk us through. Looks like you got appointments and you got someone under contract. So walk us through. How did that go?
Yeah, I did. It's a new build, sphere of influence. My husband's friend, they're in a rental. The owner of the property didn't renew their lease, so they decided to buy a house. So we took him to MI Homes, and we went under contract. And
I think you talked about that last week. Is that the one where they said they weren't really sure, and you're like, well, let's just go take a look anyway, and then they signed the same day?
Yep.
Yeah, it's interesting when I hear that, because a lot of people are like, well, what if they say they're not ready? Well, if you had an office, and I remember when I used to have a mortgage office, I would just ask them to come to the office. I really didn't think much about, whether I was going to win them over or not. I just had a routine, and I wanted them to go through my routine every time. So it sounds like Lynn saying, hey, I have a routine. I'm just going to walk my clients through my routine. It's great to hear this, what they say they want. That's great. They'll tell you what they want. They'll tell you what they even think they want.
Right.
But go ahead.
They were looking at another builder, Roush Coleman. They were almost ready to sign with them, but I heard him talking that the house size wasn't the size he wanted. So that's when I was like, well, let's go look at these other ones. We'll just look. You never know. And they like the size of the house better than the Roush Coleman.
Absolutely. And so bingo. And so when you do stuff like that, your client knows that you're looking out for their best interest. And as realtors, that's literally how we separate ourselves from when you're in the new build realm. You want your clients to be like, well, could I have done this without you? Well, I don't work for that builder. So if you're not happy with what you're hearing and it's not your perfect 10, I don't want you signing a contract just to get it over with.
Right.
Let's go look at some other homes. I can do that. Yes. I represent you. I don't represent them. And you might have to say that 5 or 6 times. And once, you come up with a clever way to do that, all of a sudden people are like, oh, wow, this is my agent. And that's the feeling you want. Because now they're like, if you hadn't shown me this house, I would have signed on that other one. I'm so glad you did this for me. And now you're worth your weight in gold. So.
Yeah, we got him. Let's see. We got him the house for $379. They were asking $389. I got him the all appliance package, the blinds, and the garage door opener.
And what builder was this?
MI Homes.
Oh, damn. Okay, nice. Good job. Yeah. And that's being new build. If people are like, well, what's the difference? Well, if you get really good at new builds, I promise you, pre-owned doesn't seem that hard, other than the paperwork and then having to make multiple offers. But we haven't seen that in about 2-3 years. We get back to the multiple offer situation. My first bit of advice, I will teach you how to win the bid if you really want it. But my first bit of advice is to recommend them to new builds first. and then you don't have to worry about that bidding war. But, but great job, Lynn. That's the kind of news we like to hear. All right.
Thank you.
All right. And then so since Lakeisha has this big number up here, we're going to bring her up and let her explain if it's a typo or not. All right, Lakeisha, good morning. You're on.
Good morning. Good morning. No, it's not a typo. Not a typo. I mean, no, it's not a typo. But so the part of that 2000, I got with Valerie and I paid her for some leads. So that's still generating leads, right?
That's generating leads.
Yeah, okay,
you got a name, phone number. You got a name, phone number, and email, right?
Name, phone number, and email.
That's what you want.
Absolutely. So that's number one. And my plan is to stay in front of them every week. I like it because it gives me a reprieve from the 200 some leads that I've been dealing with for years. And it hasn't been anything. It's like stagnant. So I'm like, okay, I'll get some more leads. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to replenish those, keep on replenishing and building upon those leads and just getting into some, fresh people minds, so that's the deal with that. And I just, like I said, routinely, weekly, like you suggested, keep up with them with newsletters. I don't know, newsletters, some of the stuff on Listings to Leads, some of the stuff that I got from the title company, just, keeping up with them. And then the other leads came, two are from my sphere of influence. One is my sphere of influence. The other lead for buyers, that's someone, a past lead that I've been working with for, I don't know. I met her last year when I was walking, and she was around the area just looking at homes, and I kind of noticed that too. And so this particular day, some told me to, why don't you start walking with your business cards? So I said, yeah, I'll start doing that. And lo and behold, she was looking for an address, and she stopped me and she said, do you know where this address is at? And I'm like, I think it's behind. And so I was like, are you trying to, because I knew it was a new home because of the area. And so I said, are you looking to buy a home? And she was like, yeah. And I said, well, you know what? My house is up the street give me one moment
There
to
you go.
do this, and I'll take you over and I'll show you. But ended up we talked. I couldn't find that address for some odd reason, but it was over in another community, and so we were in the wrong community, and so end up we had this long conversation. She said she don't trust agents and blah blah this and blah blah that, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna leave you with my card, and let's chat later. Because I knew she was running off to get to work, and so she called me and she goes, you know what? I decided I'm not ready yet. Well, end up she called me again months later. I knew what type of lead she was. So she called me months later after keeping up with her. I'll send her out. I'll send her a message. How are you doing? How's this going? Whatever, just random conversations. And I guess she appreciated me reaching out to her, just asking how she's doing. And
That's
so
it.
she reached back out to me and wanted a condo, but the condo didn't work out. So she stopped there, and now she's reaching out again. And I think this time she's serious.
And that's how it works. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So once again, if you think about it, like I just talked about, there's 10 of us on the call right now. So
Mm-hmm.
if I were to ask all 10 of us what they want right now, it may not be a house. It may be I'm just ready to go shopping for turkey for Thanksgiving, right? There's all these things that are going on. If I said, do you want a new home? There's probably everybody on the call be like, I'd love to get me the right house, but I'm not ready. So if you stay in front of people, and we know out of 10 people, there's just not enough. And that's the point I'm trying to make is if people are like, well, I got 10 leads, I'm like, well, it's not enough, because percentages are based out of 100, and not that 100 is the right number. It's just if you have 100 leads in a month, the chances that 1, 2, or 3 of them are ready to do something right now, that's the numbers across the country. That's why statistics are so important. That's how you improve your conversion. When I talk about the stuff like how do you get your conversion rate better from your leads to your appointments, that's how. If you don't have enough leads to generate, you don't even know what to work on. And I'm hoping I'm teaching everybody that, because if not, then I'll show everybody about how I do it. Like if I generated 200 leads in a month, and then I were to show you, like, guys, without 200 leads, I wouldn't even be able to improve, because I wouldn't know what's not working. It's literally like what me and Sherry were just talking about. If you post enough homes and start recognizing, like, isn't it interesting? The ones with the most character at the right price point seem to get the most leads. Oh, ding, 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 ding. Let me get homes at that price point that look like that house and post a whole bunch of those. Because all you're trying to do is generate leads. If you're thinking, well, I only want to post the listings that I have. Well, those listings you have may not get as many leads as some cute little home with character that looks like the one that generated all those leads for you. So if you find one that generates a bunch of leads, try to figure out what characteristics about it, what price point about it, and then see if you can find other homes that match that. And then all of a sudden you post 10 of those and you're like, wait a minute, I generated 5 leads times 10 of these, and it seems to work every time I post a white house with a great looking yard with several trees, the right lighting, et cetera, et cetera. If you do all of that and you look back and you're like, I can't believe it, it works. Well, that's marketing. And so same concept here. If you generate enough leads and you go back and look and you're like, out of the 100 leads I generated, the 3 that I picked, the process I had to use was this, this, and this, and that worked for me. So that's how you improve your conversions. And then you realize, just like you said, that which is in motion stays in motion. You're like, you know what? Maybe I need to start carrying business cards when I'm out and about. And all of a sudden, all these ideas start popping in your head about how to generate more business. But 2 years later, you're like, I have 15 different ways that I generate leads that are just natural to me, as opposed to, can someone show me 15 ways? It doesn't work like that. You start with 1 or 2 ways and you start building on what is natural for you. Because if I teach you everything I do, it's going to seem like work. It's going to be a job. Whereas if I teach you 2 or 3 ways, you master those. And just like Lakeisha saying, hey, while I was out there, it just popped in my head. Maybe I should be carrying business cards. Technique number 4 just popped into your head. You know what? I'm talking to all these people. Next time I do an open house, I'm going to bring these flyers and hand them out at the row where the parents are picking up their kids. Like, just the ideas start coming because it's your natural flow. I don't pick up kids from school, so I would never give you that idea. But being in that arena, you're going to keep coming up with ideas the more you do it. And that's basically called the law of inertia. that which is in motion stays in motion, and it starts to generate more and more ideas. That whole snowball effect. As long as you keep in motion, that snowball is going to pick up more and more snow. It's going to get bigger and bigger, and then boom, your business takes off. And I think you see that. I just want to make sure everybody knows, like, try to generate so many leads that you think you can't handle them, and don't care if you can't close them. Just do it anyway, and you'll start picking off the ones that are easier. You'll learn how to nurture the ones that aren't, and this business will start to get really easy. I would love to be able to promise everybody a fantastic 2025. But I'm not going to promise that, because I can't be inside your skin and know your work ethic. But from the people that I know that are kicking butt and taking names, you're probably going to have a fantastic 2025. I would just set really high goals, unbelievable goals, and try to achieve them. So hopefully that makes sense to everybody. But that's kind of the goal. Anything else you want to share?
Yeah. Oh yeah. So my daughter's dentist, business, the manager at her dentist office manager, she went on a contract too. So we're under contract with an early close on the 21st. And then I also picked up a couple listings from again, one of my a divorce attorney that I work with. She offers me out, her clients when they don't have no other solutions. But yeah, so I got that going on. And you're absolutely right. I think when I started, when I first started putting ads out, not ads, but I first went to Marketplace from January to March, I think I got over like 1,000 people. Out of those 1,000 people, I was able to talk to I believe like 20 of them. Out of the 20, I was able to close 4.
That's fantastic. Now, but I like those numbers. 1,024. I hope everybody's hearing that. 1,000 leads. So if 4 out of 100 is 4%, out of 1,000, that's 0.4%. So I hope everybody understands that's less than 1%. So in order to generate, and now, of course, these are free leads, and that brings up the conversation about intent. If you're looking for higher intent leads, you're typically going to have to pay for them. So if you do paid ads in Google, paid ads in Facebook, they're usually higher intent. If you meet people at open houses, obviously way higher intent. A referral, way higher intent. So the higher the intent of the lead that you're reaching out to, the more likely you're going to convert them. But if you're looking for the lowest intent leads, Facebook Marketplace, because that's what they call disruptive marketing. The people who go to Facebook, they're going to socialize and share with their friends. And then all of a sudden this ad pops up and they go, or this post pops up and they go, oh, that's kind of cute. And the way I talk about this so people get a really good picture, it's like if you go to the mall and you were going to the mall to pick up shoes and you decide to go through the food court, let's say you're planning to go to Nordstrom's. If you go to Nordstrom to pick up a pair of shoes, and that's what your whole intent was, you go through the food court first, you walk through the mall. As you're going by all these different shops, you're seeing all these signs, and all of a sudden something gets your attention. You're like, oh, sale, 90% off. And you're like, oh, man, that looks great, but that's not what I'm here for. Well, it distracted you, and you're like, maybe next time. And then you get to Nordstrom, you purchase your shoes, and you're like, all right, but they got your attention. That's Facebook. Google, you park in front of Nordstrom's, you walk into Nordstrom's, you go straight to the shoe section, grab your shoes, go to the register, purchase, and you leave. That's the difference. So the intent changes the percentage of your conversion. And if you're looking for higher intent leads, then there are higher intent sources. But that, again, goes back to the initial conversation. Where did you find that out? Right? And that's the key. Where do you find that out? And if you understand where you're going and what you're looking for when it comes to high intent leads, that's fantastic. But yeah, Lakeisha, that's exactly what we're looking for. And Lakeisha will tell you from January to now, your real estate business looks completely different, right?
Yes, it does. Absolutely.
Yeah. And what would you say, like, from what you remember January 1st to now, what are some of those big changes?
Well, not being a secret agent, and 2, just keeping up, just constantly, like you said, stacking and building upon things, and not just if one idea doesn't work, I'm just done. It's just the persistence and just being committed to the process. And like you said, we can't focus on, we have to just do the process and don't focus on the results, because that's going to come.
Absolutely. No, I couldn't have said it better myself. Yeah, that's exactly it. Like, focus on the process, not the result, and then pay attention to those numbers. because when you start recognizing exactly what you guys have shared as a theme here, Lakeisha has determined that there are certain things that work better than others, and Sherry pointed out the same thing. There's certain homes that get better results than others. Notice that, pay attention to that, and think, all right, it's not a fluke. There's a reason why these things are working and others aren't. Multiply those. When you hear the term rip off and duplicate or rinse and repeat, what I tell people is you rinse off the stuff that doesn't work and you repeat the stuff that does. Double down on it. That's called scaling. So once you start recognizing that, you'll notice how you can do so much more with less. And then eventually you'll hit that stride. After about 2 years, you'll be like, I know what works for me, because now it's about hitting your numbers, because you know the things that work for you without doing so much work. And that's where you hear the working smarter versus harder. But in the beginning, you got to hump it, man, until you learn this lesson. If you didn't learn it from anybody other than me, or maybe you've been in the business for a while and you're like, I never knew that's what it took. Again, I train you to be your own boss, which obviously most brokerages and team leaders are trying not to lose you. I'm not worried about that. I want to see everybody get to that point. If you stay with me, it's because you know I still have more information I can share with you to help you close bigger deals. That's my goal, and to teach you how to generate more and more business. But in the end, I want everybody to be able to do this without me, because I may not be around all the time. There's going to be a point where I'm ready to just sit back and relax and do nothing. But if I'm gone and I don't have someone taking over what I'm doing and sharing with you guys, I know how to generate a bunch of leads and then hand them off to people. And then, we can spend all day trying to figure out how to convert them. But it makes way more sense for you to get this system down in your own way and make it work for you. So hopefully that's what everybody's gaining from this. And Lakeisha, I mean, you're doing a fantastic job. Those 2,500 leads, we'll probably get into those next week. Hopefully we'll talk about, well, we're definitely going to talk about that tomorrow. But going forward, hopefully everybody, if you're interested in what the host goes on with the 2,500 leads, that's what I'm talking about in the limited listings training that I'm going over every Friday. So if you're interested in showing up at that event, that's where I'm going to be talking about that. So.
Okay. I really would have loved to, but I do have a listing appointment tomorrow around that time. It's the only time that they had available. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to blow this. But I really would have loved to be there. Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. No, of course you got listings and stuff going on. That takes priority over my training any day.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Lakeisha. Well, great job. I appreciate your feedback and everything. All right, everybody. Well, all right, you got it. All right, so we're at 10:52. Like I said, I usually like to try to wrap it up at 10:45, but I think everybody got some valuable information out of this today. Like what I'm hearing, and obviously, if you guys can make it to the live training, by all means, come on out. And again, if you're part of LPT and you want to bring out other people to see what we offer, be there at 11. It's lunch and learn. Again, I'll send out that link. But for everyone else, I appreciate the feedback. If you gave your input here, I see people are doing the work. It looks like Andrea, Brianna, and Anna, at least they're posting. Looks like Brianna had a couple of leads, a couple appointments, a couple signatures, and it looks like Andrea actually had picked up several leads, got someone under contract, and a listing under contract. Well, there you go. So it does work. Just stay consistent. Again, I want everybody to remember exactly what Lakeisha said in the end, which I try to preach over and over. Focus on the process, not the results. And let's start focusing on seeing if you can generate 100 leads a month, every month, and then see what you can do from there. And in the meantime, you guys have a great week, great weekend, and we'll see you again, same time, same channel. All right, have a good one.